Judge Scott McAfee, a major figure in the Superior Court, expressed skepticism about prosecuting Donald Trump if he is elected president in 2024. During the hearings to drop charges connected to the weakening of the 2020 Georgia presidential campaign in favor of Trump, McAfee expressed his disbelief, according to the Washington Examiner. During the hearings, the charges were being dropped. According to Steve Sadow, the eloquent attorney for Donald Trump, if Trump were to win the 2024 election, the trial would need to be postponed until the end of his hypothetical 4-year tenure due to the Supremacy Clause and the associated presidential duties. The adoption of this argument, as stated in the conservative brief released on December 2, 2023, would postpone Trump's trial until at least 2029. This is in contrast to the fact that Trump's co-defendants in the racketeering case would not enjoy such a respite. Prosecutors in Fulton County suggested that the trial against Trump and his aides begin in August, aiming to expedite the proceedings. In order to exercise caution, Judge McAfee postponed the establishment of a final trial date until the beginning of 2024. It was difficult for Joyce Vance, a respected former federal prosecutor, to understand the judgment that Fulton County District Attorney Willis made regarding the scheduling of the case. The recommended commencement date of August 5 cannot be realized as it falls after the historic voting day in 2024. Vance suggested in her blog post titled "Thought-Provoking Civil Discourse" that the straightforward nature of the Mar-a-Lago case would allow for scheduling a trial at a later date. She was eagerly anticipating Judge McAfee's response to Willis's motion because she was aware of the potential delays that could occur in the trial schedule for Florida under the supervision of Judge Eileen Cannon. According to Willis, who was a speaker at the prestigious Washington Post's Global Women's Summit, the trial of Trump might potentially last for several months and could perhaps conclude in the early years of 2025, despite the fact that there are allegations of attempted political manipulation. In her statement, she highlighted that her decision-making process about which cases to pursue remained unaltered. However, if Trump is elected president in 2024, several events could potentially impact the trial schedule. These events could include postponements or dismissals. One of the alternatives available to President Trump is to either grant himself a self-pardon or to petition the Supreme Court of the United States to hear the case of interference with presidential duties and immunity. Justice Stephen Gillers of New York University hypothesized that if President Trump were to step down from his position, which could happen when he reaches the age of 82, the Supreme Court might postpone the proceedings. In the event that Donald Trump is victorious in the presidential election of 2024, legal professionals are pondering the strategies that Donald Trump might employ in order to influence the judgment. Donald Trump might employ some choices, such as a self-pardon or a claim for immunity brought before the Supreme Court of the United States. According to Gillers, the Supreme Court would most likely opt to postpone the proceedings until after Trump has resigned from his position as president, which may be as late as when he is 82 years old. The sequence of events that led up to and included Trump's racketeering trial in Fulton County, Georgia, is more difficult as a result of these considerations. Neil Katyal, the attorney representing the former president, on the other hand, dismissed the president's assertions of immunity in the legal proceeding concerning the rioting that occurred in the United States Capitol on January 6, 2021. Trump is facing allegations of conspiracy and rioting in connection with the violent invasion of the Capitol that his followers carried out during Joe Biden's election certification. Trump has entered a plea of not guilty to these allegations. During the month of August, the Department of Justice filed an indictment against Trump for his alleged involvement in this disruption. Katyal, who had previously served as acting Solicitor General, expressed pessimism regarding the Supreme Court's willingness to accept such allegations. In addition, she urged filing a speedy appeal with the D.C. Circuit, anticipating a swift rejection of Trump's arguments. In an attempt to dismiss the federal case, the legal team representing Donald Trump encountered obstacles when attempting to invoke presidential immunity as a shield. Judge Tanya Chutkan, in charge of reviewing the Trump race interference case, rejected the concept of presidential immunity in the verdict handed down on Friday. However, the fact that the defendant held the position of chief executive officer for a period of 4 years does not confer upon him the divine right to rule. Despite this, Trump's legal team continues to preserve immunity in 3 different instances brought by members of Congress and officers of the Capitol Police. Trump's legal team continues to preserve immunity in 3 different instances brought by members of Congress and officers of the Capitol Police, aiming to absolve Trump of any culpability for the crimes committed. During a significant event that took place on Friday, the District of Columbia Circuit Court of Appeals courageously rejected presidential immunity and refused to dismiss the lawsuits that were underway. In regard to this topic, do you have any thoughts? We can have a discussion about it if you leave a comment with your ideas and opinions on it. During the course of these court battles, Katyal, a legal expert, accused Trump of employing dishonest strategies, such as contesting trial dates that ended in specific letters, in order to extend the duration of his trial for meddling in the election process. As far as Katyal is concerned, all of these moves amount to nothing more than fruitless attempts to undermine the legal system. Due to the fact that Trump categorically denied any wrongdoing, his legal team persistently advocated for the postponement of criminal proceedings, claiming his busy campaign schedule as the basis for their efforts. As the legal issues continue to escalate, it appears that it is becoming increasingly improbable that the Supreme Court will agree with the logic that Trump has presented. Taking into consideration Katyal's assessment, it would indicate that the justices are not interested in hearing what he considered to be weak arguments regarding the president's immunity. Katyal and John LaRoe, Trump's attorney, did not respond to Newsweek's requests for comment, despite the fact that Newsweek made repeated attempts to do so. The current judicial drama is a manifestation of the far-reaching ramifications that might result from holding a former president accountable for his actions while he was in power. The judicial system's resounding denial of Trump's attempts to utilize presidential immunity clearly indicates the involvement and complexity of the legal process. After taking a step back and looking at the wider picture, the legal proceedings demonstrate how challenging it is to hold a former leader accountable for the actions they took while they were in power. Trump's unwavering refusal to delay and insulate himself from the potential legal repercussions of his actions demonstrates the complexity of navigating the legal system. Legal issues have entrapped Trump as a result of the lawsuit about the Capitol riot and the trial involving the interference in the election. The president vehemently rejects any wrongdoing but faces intense scrutiny. This moment brings the delicate balance between a president's authority and the duty to address claims of malfeasance in the next election into sharp relief. Donald Trump's sweeping assertions of unconstrained presidential power and his increasingly anti-democratic discourse have brought up significant concerns and constitutional challenges. Such statements have brought these issues to light. All right, let's investigate this topic in great detail. Trump, the Republican candidate who received the most votes, is arguing in court after court that he is free from the laws and precedents that ordinarily apply to regular citizens because he is a former president. Trump is making this argument because he is the leader of the Republican Party. These far-reaching implications extend beyond the legal battles Trump faced during his first time in office and will persist even if he is elected president again in 2024. This could pose a challenge to the entire basis upon which the government of the United States of America runs, as established in the Constitution. With his concept of an unbridled presidency, Trump's apparent conviction that any action taken by the president is essentially legitimate provides hints as to how he may exercise power in a second term. Trump's conception of an unbridled presidency is a source of inspiration. He has publicly announced his intention to use a possible second term to inflict personal retribution on his opponents, which is a departure from the traditional thinking that presidents do not have the capacity to rule in a monarchical manner. Because of this imminent threat to democratic norms and constitutional restrictions on presidential power, the election that will take place in 2024 is going to be a defining moment in the history of the United States. It raises questions about the fundamental foundation of the political system in the United States. As a result of the fact that he is currently facing 4 criminal prosecutions, some of which contain allegations that he committed electoral fraud during the 2020 campaign, the courts play a crucial role in Trump's plan. In a decision that will go down in history, United States District Judge Tanya Chutkan recently dismissed his effort to seize power, which was a huge defeat for him. If he continues to delay his trials until after the election in 2024, it is possible that Trump may take the legal battle all the way to the National Supreme Court. If the Supreme Court were to make a decision of this scale, it would have to consider one of the most momentous cases concerning the extent of presidential power in recent memory. In a recent verdict, Judge Chutkan issued a comprehensive ruling that rejected Trump's arguments. The ruling highlighted the essential point that Trump does not have the divine right of monarchs to evade the criminal accountability that controls his other people, despite the fact that he has served as commander-in-chief for 4 years. This ruling emphasizes the fundamental premise that all citizens of the United States are equal before the law and that presidents are subject to the same legal constraints as any other citizen. In an effort to establish a narrative in which he acts above the legal accountability that is relevant to others, Trump's vision of power regularly contradicts this fundamental principle. Regarding this specific matter, what are your thoughts and opinions? Please contribute your ideas and perspectives in the space provided below. In the political and legal system of the United States of America, the rule of law is a fundamental value that applies to all individuals, regardless of their position in political or legal authority. Nevertheless, this is a concept that Trump never stops calling into doubt. Furthermore, Trump continues to assault the democratic system in the United States, actively undermining all efforts to hold him accountable for his behavior during the 2020 election. It is through the fabrication of a story that he further undermines faith in democracy by portraying these attempts as an attempt by the administration of President Joe Biden to cheat in the election of 2024. In a recent campaign appearance in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, President Trump leveled the accusation that Joe Biden is the adversary of democracy. He made this assertion while he was in Iowa. This claim is not only without foundation, but it also exemplifies Trump's tendency to place blame on others for wrongdoings that he has committed. This is especially true in light of the fact that Trump is working to disrupt the peaceful transition of power that will take place after the 2020 election. In spite of reams of evidence to the contrary, Trump has been able to alter the opinions of millions of people by utilizing his incredible ability to create illusions to tremendous success. Two of the things that pose a threat to the fundamental foundation of democracy are the ongoing legal reckoning and the distortion of reality that Trump is exhibiting. Due to the fact that this scenario is both complicated and under constant change, it is essential to keep a close eye on it as the first fight for the Republican nomination approaches. Trump's opponents are having a difficult time responding to his anti-democratic rhetoric and efforts to question the results of the 2020 election, despite the fact that they are trailing Trump by a significant margin. His critics are cautious about criticizing him because they are afraid of alienating Republican followers who are open to the things that Trump makes. One of the most notable incidents that took place in Iowa and involved Florida Governor Ron DeSantis was a demonstration of this reluctance. According to DeSantis, the real issue was not that Trump was attempting to prevent the democratic process from moving forward. Rather, the issue was that Trump was unable to change the outcome of the election. Please feel free to share your thoughts and opinions in the comment section while we wait. If you found this video to be helpful, please give it a thumbs up for your consideration. With their rejection of Trump's immunity claim in the 2020 election lawsuit, federal judges have upheld the necessity of Trump's incarceration. This news will brighten your day, so please watch all the way to the finish. Before we move forward, we kindly ask that you spare a few seconds of your time to subscribe to our updates by clicking the button below and enabling the notification bell. As president, Donald Trump is not immune to criminal prosecution for the actions he took. Unusual Direction Jack Smith sued him on Friday, accusing him of trying to illegally overturn his 2020 political contest loss, and an Australian judge rejected his motion to dismiss the lawsuit. Judge Tanya Chutkan of the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia has ruled that presidents might face criminal charges even after they leave office. Trump, the head of the Republican movement, will run against Joe Biden, the popular choice for president in the United States from 2017 to 2021, in 2024. The current president might be interested in anything that the resistance supports. According to Chutkan's decision, the United States only has one chief executive officer at any given time, and that role does not grant special privileges such as the ability to secretly leave prison. Chutkan's decision is significant because it pertains to Trump, the only sitting or previous president of the United States to face criminal charges, and confirms that presidents can be accused of misconduct. The court agreed with other locals in rejecting Trump's claim that the accusations violate his right to free speech. According to the most famous amendment to the U.S. Constitution, legal advisors to Trump have argued that Smith's case seeks to criminalize fundamental political speech and political promotion. Attorney Todd Blanche, who represents Trump, chose not to comment on the judgment. Chutkan's judgment brings him one step closer to facing a jury on punishment for his alleged scheme to tamper with the counting of constituent ballots and prevent the parliamentary certificate of Biden's victory. While claiming not to be guilty, Trump has accused the examiners of trying to derail his mission. In the spring, the preliminary work is expected to begin. Trump has the option to move quickly on the decision, which might delay the preliminary. As a request, the court and, potentially, the High Court assess the situation. According to the examiner, Trump's lead doesn't match the allegations they made, and he has other upcoming legal moves to excuse the case based on other cases. In addition to the case that Smith is pursuing, Trump is also facing state criminal penalties in Georgia related to his actions in 2020, as well as two separate arraignments. He has maintained that he is not liable in that regard, according to the U.S. Equity Division, and he has long had an internal strategy not to prosecute a sitting president. However, after a president steps down, investigators claim there are no such constraints. Political opponents could use the threat of criminal indictment to delay a president's liabilities, but Trump's legal advisors have made a sweeping case that he is completely immune from accusations stemming from actual actions he initiated as president. His defense team argued that U.S. presidents should face criminal prosecution because of their immunity from ordinary claims. The investigation team argued that Trump was misusing fundamental constitutional standards by claiming that the President of the United States should be exempt from common laws. Much obliged for your time. Leave a comment telling us what you think, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel.